Welcome back to This Week in Indies. There's an old adage, you have to spend money to make money. But not all can afford that luxury. So what do? Are we going to let that stop us? Of course not. So today our panel discusses the obvious and maybe not so obvious opportunities we have to gain readers affordably. Then C.L. Cannon will be along to conjure indie books you might enjoy if you're a fan of Evocation by S.T. Gibson. After the Go Indie Minute, we will do a little epiloguing. So welcome to the free tier of promotion as we do another This Week in Indies with your host, Joe Compton. Hola, ¿cómo está? I'm practicing my Spanish, everybody. Hello, how are you? Welcome to This Week in Indies. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We really appreciate you being here. And I thank you so much for doing so. It's going to be a wonderful show. We're going to give you some good, hopefully some new things to check out or some old things to think about, because the good and the old always seem to come alive at this time and come back, and what worked before will work again kind of idea. That's the kind of the gist of what we're trying to do here. As we just lost Deborah, so it's going to be all out of whack here. So I'm gonna pontificate, if you don't mind, ladies, for a little bit before, so that we can get Deborah back and put you in the right spot here. Hopefully she'll just jump right back in. We've got Anita here and Sean here. Hello. Nice to see you both. But yeah, I mean, so we're going to be talking about low-cost ideas, and there you go. All right. And thank all that is available to thank as Deborah comes back into the fold. And look at that, almost perfect. All right, I just had to make one little adjustment. Awesome. All right, so enough of me yapping. Thank you, all of you. But here we are, another This Week in Indies. Let's just go around the room, say hello. Tiffany, start us off. You're muted, Tiffany.
I'm sorry about that. I am Tiffany Vager, co-owner of Outsider Publishing Company, and you can find all of our books on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, anywhere you want to find a book. We do have a new release coming out July 4th, which is the picture that I have right here, and it's actually a cover reveal as well, and it's a charity anthology for women's rights, and Lily actually did our cover for us.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. That's cool. That's awesome. And yes, we love exclusives here. So thank you. All right, Lily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lily Lucchesi. I'm a USA Today bestselling author of urban fantasy, paranormal, and mysteries. I also write dark romance as S.L. Sinclair and sweeter romance as Samantha Calcott. I am also the co-founder and editor at Partners in Crime Book Services. And yes, as Tiffany mentioned, I also do cover design.
It's awesome. I love it. Everybody will see it here in a second. Hi, Courtney. Say hello.
I am Courtney, aka C.L. Cannon. I write fantasy and sci-fi, mostly YA fantasy and sci-fi. And I also own Fiction Atlas Press, where I help authors, mostly fantasy and sci-fi authors, again, find new ways to market and to connect with each other and connect with readers.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, the awesome Deborah Parmalee is here with us. Hello, Deborah.
Hello. So I'm author Deborah Parmalee, a multi-genre disabled author. I am most known for writing military romantic suspense, Amazon bestseller, and that I'm kind of leaning a little more to the suspense side with my newest, which will be out July the 4th. And I started out writing historical romance 17 years ago.
She froze. It's going to be one of those days. There you go. You're back.
okay. And my stuff is below too.
Awesome. It's gonna be one of those days, y'all. All right. Well, see, there's the cover, the Right Set Risk cover right there for everybody to see, right next to Tiffany. Brand new anthology coming out July 4th. We're real excited to premiere the cover. Thank you for that opportunity. But let's start this conversation with the obvious things that we to promote cheaply. I'm trying to say the right adjective or right verb. Affordably, maybe. We don't want to say cheaply because that kind of demeans it a little bit. But
And expensive.
what's that? I think Tiffany's on a big delay, so everybody just has to deal with it. But I'm curious to start the conversation. I mean, the big N word's going to come up, so we might as well mention that right off the bat. That's probably the easiest and most affordable option for everybody. And if you don't have a newsletter by now, I mean, we can't help you. Then you just got to go. Right? I mean, that's just the way it goes, right? I mean, but is there anything other than newsletter, or if you want to talk about newsletters, please feel free. Please save me from this horrible questioning and introduction here. But
I'll chip in.
Please, thank you.
Because in 2023, after I was disabled, my sales flatlined. It was almost like starting over. Well, it was like starting over. So I went back to the basics. Number one, if you do nothing else, you need a good website. It sits out there all the time where they can always find you, whether you do it yourself or you hire somebody. So I went and had a website redesign. Number two, you need a newsletter, which both of these you can find yourself.
Website redesign. Number two, you need a newsletter, which
number three, you need. I have a Discord. None of the Discord or any of that is connected to anything in a social media realm. So those three things are my core. And if I have limited funds, that's where it's going to go. Honestly, being disabled, you don't make a lot of money. So you can't count on the day job to pay for stuff. So I am now in a position where I must do very low cost or free. So I've put what limited funds I have into the website first, newsletter second, and Discord 3, which some of that can be low cost depending on how you do it. So
I'm going to hop off. Oh, Joe, you're muted now.
I said that all sounds pretty good. The Discord thing I knew was going to come up as well.
Yeah.
We'll talk about social media in general. I think a little bit because I think too that is something that we kind of gloss over, but none of us really like. So.
Yeah, to hop off of a website, having a store is very, very essential. And when you're doing your store, whether you do hire someone, which can be a bit expensive, or do it yourself, going in and making sure all of your SEO, the search engine optimization, is vital for that, because that's how people are going to keep finding you. I direct sales right from your store, especially for paperbacks. For most of us like me who are in Kindle Unlimited, we can't do it with ebooks. But paperbacks are wanted, signed paperbacks are wanted, so it makes it much easier. So if you have a website, make sure you integrate a store. The store has even assisted partners in crime with finding new clients, because people are finding me through Google, through, whatever. But another thing that's very important that people don't think about, you're writing a book, if you want to make money off of that book, because this is for marketing. I know there are a lot of people who are like, I don't need to make the money. This is probably not the panel for you guys to be watching. You need to plan strategically when you're writing. Longer series, 3 books or more. What market are you writing in? Research the genre, the subgenre, the tropes, the covers. And again, make it a series. Make it something that readers are going to want more and more and more of. Whether it's interconnected standalones in the same world or a continuing plot with the same characters. The longer the series, the more engaging the series, the more you hit those reader tropes that they love, that's going to help them come back. The more readers come back, the more times you're going to get recommended. And word of mouth is still one of the best things that you could possibly have from your readers. But in order to keep readers, you need to keep them engaged for a long time.
How about for you, Courtney? Jump in here, please.
I think one of the first things that you should do when you start to think about marketing is stop for a minute and kind of take stock of where you are, what skills you have, what you can realistically do yourself, and what you're going to need to hire out for, because not everybody has the same skill set. And some people are going to need to hire out for more things than others. And there are some things that if you have the time to learn them, you could very well go on and learn to do for yourself, and that will cut costs for yourself. But I really do think a newsletter is probably your number one marketing tool. And there's lots of ways that you can do that for free or for very cheap. Then also looking around and making community connections and finding ways that you can market with other authors or with other groups of people for free, for basically free. Let's say like maybe you want to give away an ebook. An ebook costs you very little to give away. So if you all got together and gave away an ebook, then there you go. That's a free way for you all to get together and reach new people and kind of network. So there's lots of ways that you can do something for cheap, but you really need to know where your strengths lie. And like Lily said, really try to be able to have things that are marketable, especially if you're really worried about having enough money to do something. Series are what really sell right now, especially in certain genres. So just pre-plan a lot of your stuff and know your strengths and weaknesses.
How much does the GDPR affect what you're doing with your newsletter? Do you have to be cognizant of that?
Yeah, you really want to be aware of all the rules, because you don't want the fines. If we're being honest, they're not really coming for authors. We're not really what they're going after, but there's still always the chance that something might happen. So you want to be aware of the laws and follow them to the best of your ability, to be informed on everything that's changing, and try to protect yourself.
That doesn't affect affordability though, right? I mean, it's basically it's the same program. It's just adding a certain page or a certain warning, right? So
yes, it's about informing the consumer about what they're going to get from your newsletter and their rights.
How the other aspect of this, right, is how does should all these things be connectable? Should the website be connectable to the newsletter? Should the newsletter be connectable to freebies? And how much of that matters in terms of affordability as well? Is creating a blockchain kind of the idea behind something like that?
I actually just went and edited a book about this. It's mostly for direct sales, but it does talk about freebies, newsletters, website, and how it all connects. Mm-hmm. It's not out yet, otherwise I promote it here, but it's not released yet. But I just got through with it, and it is very, very vital. It doesn't really affect affordability. I mean, if you're really looking for something very cheap, I'm not a huge fan of Wix anymore. Their interface is not user-friendly, but they are still free as far as I know, just for a host. I use mine through Bluehost. It's like $3 a month. That's where all of my author ones are at right now. PayHip is free for your store, but you can always have a pop-up that goes to your newsletter. And there are certain, some have starter newsletters if you're very, very small for free. There are smaller fees. There are places like Substack where you can get it basically entirely for free, but those you kind of need to do a bit more content there. That's where I run mine. I'm working on it, but it all should connect. It should connect to your freebie. Especially once they get to your website, they should know, here's where you can shop, here's where you can get the newsletter, here's where you can get the free book. If you want the free book, you do have to at least say, hey, I want to hear from you again. It should all connect. You should have a page for your social media, who you are, what you do, what readers are going to expect from you. It should all be on that one website and all connect somewhere. Someone goes to your social media, then it should link back to your website. Everything should be one big circle of you.
I think it's good to keep in mind that not all readers do all things. But if you have everything on your website, where if they are an Instagram person, they can find that page. If they are Facebook, they can find that. If they are Threads, they can find that. If they are none of those things,
She froze again.
Yeah. Give it a second,
they can
maybe
move
she'll.
forward and then leave. So you might get one click out of them, maybe two. So if you have all of the things, then the thing they like to look at, they can go right there. I think that's important.
Courtney, you have anything to add to that?
I agree. Everything should be connected. It's not about affordability, but it is about accessibility and being accessible to everyone, being able to be found anywhere that somebody wants to find you. And, you know, especially when you're talking about having a website, making sure that it's easy to find and it's not like some random series name that I might not be writing for the rest of my life at xyz.com or something. You want a .com or a .net, more likely a .com if you can.
I mean,
And,
if you're gonna be clever about the name of the website, at least make it SEO searchable. I think a lot of people take that for granted, because if I search for your name and I put author behind it, your website should be the first link that comes up onto the SEO. It should be, no matter what it's called. You know, I mean, like Daniel Meyer is a great example. He his website is a different name because it's part of his series, right? So he named his website after his series. But I searched for Daniel, and Daniel Meyer is a common name, and even the way he spells it is a common spelling. But I searched for Daniel Meyer author. His website's the first thing that comes up. That's how I found him, right? So that I think SEO is a very important aspect of this as well, right? Making sure that also my biggest pet peeve, and you all know this, so forgive me for jumping on a soapbox, but my PSA to the world is, if you're gonna put links on your website, they better fucking work. Please make sure they work, you know, and make sure that you're checking those constantly. So if you change something, you know, hey, put a note to yourself. I got to go back on my website and change that link, because it's going to be to the old link and I'm not going to be able to get there. And, you know, I'm not going to spend the time to search for you if you're not going to spend the time to change it. Right. So,
and if everything on your site is old, let's say somebody's come to your site, they've never seen you before. They come to your site. Everything on there is from 2 years ago. They're going to go, well, there's nothing new. There's nothing new. You've got to put new stuff on there and not just leave the same old. And you talk about pet peeves. You need a current author photo, because if you don't look the same, if you look different than you did 10 or 15 years ago, they're looking for that person at a book signing of how many people. How are they going to find you if you don't look the same? This is not about ego. This is about helping your reader find you.
I have to say, just on to defend that a little bit. If I take a really good fucking picture, I'm never letting that one go. I'm gonna ride that one until that picture is like, if I drag, like right now I'm gray, so like all the pictures of me that are really good don't have the gray in them. Okay, yeah, maybe I'll change it a little bit, but I have some really good pictures that I just want to use till I can't use them anymore. That's kind of how I feel about that a little bit. I understand what you're saying, though. If it's pictures from like 1984 and it's now 2025, yeah, I think you need to change it. I think you're a little older, right?
I had a signing.
Flexible you are. Like if you had a pixie cut 10 years ago,
and
now your hair's down to your butt. That's not going to work anymore. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Like the picture that I have is from last year that I'm going to be using, and I'm hopefully going to be using it at least for 5 to 10 years. I don't expect to change very much. I'm hoping I don't age that badly. So and I actually thought about that when choosing the picture, when I was changing it. Like, okay, this is what's going to represent me. Am I going to really look like this for a while? So yes, people can see me.
I have to say, of this dais here, I'm the only one that ages. You all are ageless. I've seen pictures from, and I've known you all for a very long time.
Oh, I got the gray, Joe, but it just blends with the blonde.
Deborah, I've seen pictures of like your first signings and stuff like that. You guys haven't aged a goddamn minute, so you know you all are okay. So don't worry about it. I mean, if you change your hair color, that's a different thing.
Yeah, or glasses. Glasses can be that. Actually, I changed glasses and hair color, and was at a signing and had a reader who was a longtime reader come up and say, I couldn't find you. I was looking, you look different. And I went, oh, I thought, oh, that was my big. So from now on the Facebook or the little things, not the major changes, but I'll post a recent one on there. I'll say, hey, if you're looking for me, look for this girl with the new glasses or whatever.
You'll all laugh. I went to Jordan Con for the first time 2 years ago, and I went up to people, and they looked at me funny because I didn't have my hat on,
Yeah.
my signature hat that I
Yeah.
had for like 5 years, right? And I was trying to phase out of it, and everybody goes, "Yeah, you look different. I didn't see you with the hat, so I didn't recognize you." I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not Superman, for fuck's sake. I mean, take it off. I'm the same person.
Yeah. But we got to help them find us because they really are looking for that. Whatever that shot was, they're
But
looking for that.
you do take that for granted, though. If you think
Yeah,
about that,
authors don't think about that.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
they think, I like that old photo because I looked better. Well, everybody did 10 years ago, right? So, but
Very
yeah.
true. But yeah, I agree. There, updating needs to happen regularly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an important aspect of if you're trying to do something for free. That's a free thing you can do for yourself that you don't have to worry about. And it takes 20 minutes mostly. If it's really all messed up, then it takes about 20 minutes. But really, it only takes like 3 or 4. I even can do that in the time period that I'm busy. I'm sure Courtney can agree with me. I'm sure Lily can. I think you all could probably agree with me. It doesn't take that long. You all are very busy, so I think that's important. And yes, newsletters are a staple. I really need to get yes, I agree. Sean has a question for you all. He wants to know. He said, last year I had a conversation with an indie author who was saying that they were moving away from Facebook and drive business toward their website for sales, etc. Thought from our panelists.
Okay, I'm going to be the controversial one, maybe. I believe social media is very essential. If you're not on Facebook, then you have to be at least elsewhere. You have to be visible in places where people can see you are a real person. They can speak with you. Deborah was talking about Discord. Discord's becoming a thing for authors. I see authors advertising on Reddit. I know that can get you a lot of trolls, but it works. If you are against Facebook, for whatever reason, which I guess means you're also against Instagram, you also need to understand that in the world of big tech, there is nothing ethical that you can fully use. And you have to decide, am I going to be a non-person, or am I going to show myself and meet readers and understand that there is nothing ethical in consumerism in this world? There isn't. So if you're truly against using Meta, then you have to go somewhere else. Go to Blue Sky, go to TikTok. You need to have some sort of presence so people can see. It's the same thing with the profile picture changing and the author picture. People need to see you. You need to be somewhere. If it's not Facebook, you need to be somewhere. Yes, a website helps and SEO helps, but how are people going to find your name to find your website? They need to find you somewhere. If they don't know your name to look you up, it's going to be difficult.
I think we're all going to have things we prefer, but I had to learn the hard way. Never put all your eggs in one basket. My Facebook was locked down for 4 months. I couldn't get it back. I realized how dependent I was on Facebook. We don't want to be overly dependent on anything. That's why I'm saying the things that became my top 3 are website, newsletter, and Discord, because I own those. They're not going to be taken down. I'm still on Facebook and Instagram and all those things, but I don't choose to spend a lot of time there because I know they can go away quickly. And then if they go away, you have no control to get them back. So that was my learning curve. That's where I'm at.
Remember about a year ago, it was about a year and a half ago when Facebook was down for like 2 days and everybody was freaking out.
Yeah. They didn't have anywhere else to go. Give your readers somewhere else to find you. If my readers go to my places, they can find me. I won't disappear like I did for 4 months with Facebook. So you don't want to disappear, whatever you do. Make sure you've got a plan B where they can find you.
Right, you need options. Options are the best thing possible, and as many as possible.
Yeah. And the demographic is different. There are some people that will not go to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It's different age groups like different things also. Know your demographic. Who are your readers? Where do they like to go? And go there.
It's interesting you said that because we just had an episode of Page Numbers that just aired, and then Stuart Jaffe, who has been a long time indie author, was talking about that very thing. He was like, the reason I'm on Facebook is because that's where my readership is. and I'm going to go where my readership is. I'm not going to stray away from that. I don't care if I don't like the social media. I may not like any of them, but if that's where my readership is, that's where I've got to go. And he's like, that's why I tried TikTok, because they were all migrating to TikTok, but he wasn't seeing the same results he was from Facebook. That's why he went back to Facebook. And it's kind of the same thing we did here. About 4 years ago, I moved over to Twitch because everybody was saying that's the next thing. They're going to usurp YouTube, and I found that not to be the case. I lost about 2 years of viewership from doing that migration, because all the people from YouTube were leaving me because I wasn't posting new content there. I was always going to Twitch, and none of them migrated over to Twitch. So I had to. I mean, I'm now diversified where I'm doing it all over, but there's a Twitch audience, there's a YouTube audience, there's a Facebook audience, and and they all ebb and flow. I'm seeing a lot more people on Facebook watching videos now than before, and shorts are a thing sometimes, and shorts are not working sometimes. So it all ebbs and flows, but you have to kind of diversify it a bit with that, I think, because you can't just, like you said, Deborah, put all your eggs in one basket. I think.
Well, and the other thing is, we all think about what to do for our readers, how to find our readers, but hardly anybody ever brings up working with someone else with their audience. So I just finished doing my first Instagram author takeover, which was very cool because it was with 2 influencers on Instagram. They have a huge following on Instagram. I do not. So by doing something to reach their readers, I'm now pulling in more readers. If all we do is promote to our readers on all the different places, we don't bring in new readers that way. It's a trickle. If we go and we pair up with someone, we're bringing our readers, they're bringing theirs. It's a synchronicity. It's a win-win for both. And we need to do more of that.
Deborah queued you up, Courtney. I think this is a perfect time. I was going to mention this later, but this is a perfect time to talk about builders. And, you could not get a better bang for your buck for $10 freaking dollars, than putting yourself into a builder, right?
Well, that's what I believe about Fiction Atlas. That's one of the reasons why we are different than a lot of other builder services who just focus on multi-genre. We are very targeted. We kind of make sure that we have people that will have the same audience. You don't want to have completely different audiences and then try to cross promote, because nobody's going to stick. Nobody's going to be interested. You might get a couple, but not many. So if you get together with authors that are like you and who write the same things that you do, or at least in the same kind of realm that you do, then you will find that most of those readers will be happy to try your stuff, and then some of your readers will be happy to try the other stuff. And so you're both mutually benefiting from this cross promotion, and you're getting newsletter subscribers, you're getting people who are buying your books, you're getting new people who will become fans of you and might go on to buy more books and read more from you and start following you on your socials and all of that stuff. So when you join a builder, and we try to keep them really affordable, we start at $10 for like book fairs, and then we go up to, I think $38 is the most that any of ours are. And then when you do one that's $38, you're building on 10 platforms at once, plus a link to your book. So there's lots of things going on. So we're trying to keep them really, really affordable for everyone and really genre targeted, so that they are doing good. So the people that you are getting from your newsletter builders are sticking with you and buying your books and things like that. But to get back to the point before, I think it's important to be on as many social medias as you're comfortable with. And even if you don't want to use that social media anymore, like I do not use Twitter anymore, because I'll never call it X, but it's Twitter. I don't have anything there anymore, but I still have my account, because if you leave your account open, someone else can take your name, something else can happen to it, and someone else can speak for you. So if you have an account somewhere, leave it open. And, I've got a message say, hey, this is where you can find me on all my other social platforms. This is where you can find my book. So all of that stuff is still there. All of my past tweets and things are still there, but I'm no longer using it because I don't agree with that platform, which is okay. but as long as you can make sure that other people know where to find you on all the other platforms. So have a presence on as many places as you feel comfortable with. And like everyone else has said, know where your readership is. There different age groups and different genres have different places that are more popular. Older audiences are usually more on meta products like Facebook or Instagram and things like that. But Threads is actually starting to have more younger people come onto it. And I was really into Blue Sky. It's still really good, but I'm finding more success on Threads right now. And you kind of have to just keep up to date of where your people are going to, because sometimes things will change. It's not always 100% from now on everybody's on Facebook or 100% everybody's on TikTok. People move around and they have different preferences over time. So follow them and try to have all your information for everything out there and available. Have I'm not a really big fan of Linktree because I like link in bio better, but have something like that has all of your links in one central place. You can also use your website for that.
This is a good point down here. I think also you all touched on it a little bit about Twitter, especially. Twitter's a really good example of this. You don't use Twitter much. You also have to read the room, right? Even if you don't agree with the political and social aspects of Twitter, if it was a viable source for authoring still, maybe you don't go there just because of your beliefs, but you may not be able to ignore it, right? And so, but the thing is now you can ignore it because most people have walked away from it. So if you're using Twitter, you're not being successful, and that's a key element to it as well, right? You have to read the room and adapt, right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree with all that?
I would. I also don't use Twitter anymore. That's one of the ones that I left, but it would have had to come down to, if I had a huge following there, if I got most of my sales there, I would have had to sit down and think, are my beliefs that this man does not care about me, that man who runs it, he does not know me, he does not give a single fuck about me. Mm-hmm. Is me sticking it to him worth losing my income? I would have had to sit down and think about that. Mm-hmm. Thankfully, that was not the case at all. Yeah. But it would have sucked to have to think about that because I don't want to support that person.
Right. Yeah, it's like I've never even been to the website. I've never even logged in, and I would really have to think about it. If suddenly somebody told me that they sold 1,000 books on True Social, I'd be like, it'd be like, probably I won't sell 1,000 books, so I don't have to worry about that. But you know what I mean? There is a line for yourself versus sales and selling your soul, but there's also it's kind of hard to dance on that line with Twitter is a little, because we were all on Twitter before the evil empire and the Xing out of it, which is what I call it. But it is. So there's a moral gray there a little bit, I think, but like something where, like, if you told me that, Nazis.com was all of a sudden the place where everybody's selling their books, no chance in hell would I ever go to Nazis.com. It's just not.
Truth Social, is that the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, Truth Social
wouldn't be the same way, Joe, because of who you are and what you write also. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's just... There's a morality to it, I think, too. Sorry.
I think you can use a site as a billboard. Okay, so your billboard can say, here's where to find me, or here's what I write, which is not necessarily saying you agree with anything about that site. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just basic business. Do you want your author name and your book cover to be on your website, to be out there where someone at that place can find you? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. It's not condoning anything else there. It's just saying, here's my stuff. Because readers who are floating around the internet looking at stuff might come across it. So, why not? That's my take on it. But honestly, there's so many places. I mean, I didn't join Blue Sky. I'm only one person. So I tend to look at where are people going and then go there. That's why I did the Instagram author takeover. Those bookstagrammers are selling books. So that's a good place to be. Do I want to be the person building the site to help the readers start buying books? Well, no, that's not my business. That's someone else's business. So mine is just to see where my readers are and try to get into my reader head. Where is my reader looking for me, or where are they hanging out, or where are they, popping in, because those are missed opportunities if we're not putting stuff out there. So yeah, I still have an X. Actually, I had left it when it was Twitter because the author community had become toxic. I didn't like it there. Nothing was positive. It was also negative. And I went, I don't have time for negativity. I don't do negativity, so I'm out. And that's true of any place. If it starts to become negative, I'm walking. That's it. I don't have time for that. I believe successful people don't waste time on drama. They are too busy being successful. So, and that's true of anything, anywhere. So, of course, that touches on political. The drama comes up, whatever the person's leaning is, and I'm just out. I'm done. That's got nothing to do with fiction and reading and enjoying books. And why can't we just do that? That's what I'm there for. So that's kind of my take on that whole thing.
Yeah, that's definitely not something that I would be able to do, but because I am political and my books are political because I live as a gay human. So I'm political automatically. But like Deborah was talking about, like not going on threads. The one thing about the meta sites, Facebook, your page, Instagram, Threads, there's a way to post now where if you make one post, it goes to all of them at the same time. There are also post schedulers and things like that. So you can take one day, find whichever one works for you, take one day, schedule. But again, if you just want to make one post, it'll automatically disperse it through them. So you don't have to go from app to app to app or website to website to website, depending on what device you're using. So again, that's time saved. If you're one of those people who, like me, I do not want to be on all of these at once. I don't care to scroll. I don't care to keep making the same post and copy paste. So that's what makes it easier. That's one of the good things that Meta has done is make posting and reaching readers easier.
How much is it not so much about the site as it is what the site does to suppress or extend readership for you? So we talk about algorithm changes and Facebook changing from groups to not groups to newsfeed, and the neglect of the newsfeed then becomes everybody's blocking their newsfeed, so we're gonna make groups a priority kind of thing. Videos now a priority. How much of that do you consider, is that a big factor in how you navigate your social media as well?
Well, it has to be. Again, everyone's, TikTok. I am not good at TikTok. I need to restart mine. It's definitely somewhere, especially for dark romance. Again, you have to go where your readership is. For something like dark romance or queer romance, TikTok really helps, and so do groups. Everyone thinks about posting in groups as, oh, I'm just going to post my ad like we used to. Now there are groups for readers where they are asking for recommendations. Some of them say the author can't, so you can always just ask one of your readers, your PA, hey, can you nudge my book here? And that's where you can do it. Groups are still very, very vital. Word of mouth and posting in groups has actually gotten me more sales and more page reads than anything. But it takes time, unless you have a PA who does it for you. And that's another thing. If you don't have the money to pay someone, you are paying in time. And you do have to understand that you are taking that time.
Love that.
It's helpful.
I think we're going to see a shift. I'm going to do a prediction here. I think, and it's going to be driven partly by AI. I think people are going to, I don't know how soon, but they're going to long for real connections with real people. That's us connecting with our readers, person to person, either online or on the ground. And it's not going to be posting things all over and, where the author's not there. I think the readers are going to really want more and more of the author actually being there because AI will become such a thing and it's impersonal. And we're going to want what's personal. I think readers want what's personal now, but I think we're going to see a surge of that coming down the road. So the more we can prepare ourselves for that, the better.
I think that's exactly right. I think that is something that is going to happen. I think, like you said, it's already happening. And one of my best marketing tips that I always say is being authentic is the best way to sell anything. When people really know you and care about you, they're going to support you. And people long for not being sold to all the time. We are sold to almost constantly from the time that we wake up, and having a real conversation with someone, either online or in person, is going to endear them to you. And they're, like I said, they're going to want to support you, and they're going to want to see what your stuff is about, and kind of, I don't know, come into the worlds that you are creating and be excited about them because of who you are and how you present yourself, rather than just having an ad shoved in their face all the time. I think a lot of us are really, especially as meta has gotten worse about showing ads. You know, now when you go on someone's profile, there are ads on their profile now. Like, you think that they shared it, and you have to look, it's got says at the top, not supported by whoever. But it used to not be that way. You used to at least be able to go on someone's profile and see the things that they'd shared and not have an ad pop up right in the middle of their feed. So I think we're really getting sick of that. At least I am. One of the things that I love about meeting people in person, going to cons and stuff, I just went to Imaginarium, and we had like social meetups and panels and a lot more get together things, instead of just a lot of authors kind of sitting behind their stalls and trying to sell stuff. We had a lot more things where we're actually meeting with the author and being social with them. We had a dinner where we sat down and talked with them. So there's a lot more social connection going on there than there used to be at a lot of events. So I like to see that that's happening.
I'm just gonna say, for the record, if anybody, if there's a big corporation on Facebook that wants to sponsor me, I'm willing to whore myself out. But otherwise, yeah, it's a good opportunity to go into another world as well. This is the Indie Connection that we do each and every week here, that we're fortunate to debut for Miss Cannon and what she does, and we're so grateful for that opportunity. And this is a really good one, everybody. If you're a fan of evocation, well, you're going to be a fan of this Indie Connection. So enjoy, and we'll be back right after the Indie Connection.
Hey guys, CEO Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. And today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Evocation by S.T. Gibson. The first book I have for you is called Bound by Shadows by Vera Winters. Captured by the enemy, bound to a cruel prince, tempted by forbidden power. Eric Solarian, battle mage and wielder of outlawed magic, falls into the clutches of the notorious demon prince Malekith. Now a prisoner in a deadly game, Eric finds his resolve tested and his darkest hungers awakened. Malekith is as captivating as he is ruthless, drawing Eric into a web of sinister plots and forbidden magic. Even as Eric plots his escape, he is inexorably enticed by the demon's magnetic pull. As shadowy schemes unfold and the lines between enemies and allies blur, Eric must decide how far he's willing to go to uncover the secrets of demon magic, and what he's willing to sacrifice for a dangerous obsession that could destroy everything he's ever fought for. The second book I have for you is called Fractured Souls by Ava Marie Salinger. In a city of secrets, a fallen angel and a supernatural agent will risk it all for justice and each other. Cassius Black came to San Francisco seeking redemption. Instead, he found a trail of bodies with missing souls. Morgan King, top agent of the supernatural Argonaut Agency, has been hunting the killers all summer. When fate brings them together, Morgan realizes the infamous devil may be his only hope of stopping a catastrophe. As they delve deeper into a world of dark sorcery and ancient vendettas, Cassius and Morgan find themselves fighting not just for the city, but against their growing attraction. With a mysterious warlock plotting to tear open the nether, they'll need to trust each other with their lives and their hearts. And the third book I have for you is also by Ava Marie Salinger. It's called Arcane Entanglement, The Mage and His Brute, Book 1. He thought he had to choose between duty and desire, but what if he could have both? In an alternate Victorian London where magic reigns supreme, Duke Evander Ravenwood hides a dangerous secret. He's an archmage of unparalleled power. When a brutal murder throws him into the path of Viggo Stonewall, the notorious leader of the underground information guild Nightshade, Evander's carefully constructed world begins to unravel. Forced into an unlikely alliance, Evander and Vigo find themselves drawn into a web of conspiracy that threatens the very fabric of their society. With tensions rising between the magical elite and the oppressed thralls, they must navigate a treacherous landscape of politics, prejudice, and the forbidden desire to find a common enemy. But in a world where magic divides the haves from the have-nots, their growing attraction could be their greatest weakness, or their most powerful weapon. Can Evander and Vigo's burgeoning relationship withstand the storms to come, or will the shadows of the past and the dangers of the present tear them apart? The fourth book I have for you is called Ritual of the Broken by Seb L. Carter. Can an outcast mage and an angry werewolf stop the ritualistic killer who's preying on their city? For years, Ollie has survived on the fringes of the magical community, the price he pays for a foolish ancestor who played around with dark magic. Now he just wants to run his mother's magic shop in peace. But a vision from a ghost, of a dark entity pulling a man's soul from his body, compels him to seek answers. Homicide detective Adrian Keller is assigned to a case that stinks of magic. His last run-in with magic left him with deep scars, and an even deeper distrust of mages. So when Ollie shows up at his crime scene, Adrian is about to go fur and claws. But this mage has answers, and though he doesn't like it, Adrian knows he needs help untangling the dark energy surrounding his case. As the body count rises, their uneasy partnership is tested. This is more than a serial killer hunting souls. Something much darker is happening in Chicago. If they don't find a way to stop it, the soul of the world could be the biggest casualty. Ollie and Adrian are forced to confront the specter of their pasts, and a vast conspiracy within the magical community, even as they grapple with the undeniable attraction between them. The ritual of the broken could break them both, and take the world with it. And the last book I have for you is called Villain by Chani Lynn Feener. Nix Monroe has a plan. Infiltrate the Enigma app and lure out whoever his cousin was last speaking with before everything went to shit. Nix won't stop until he finds answers, even if that means transferring to a different university and getting entangled with the infamous demons of Foxglove Grove. Lake, West, and Yajin, 3 of the most powerful men on the entire planet, and also the deadliest. When Nix finds himself on their radar, he thinks maybe it's not all bad, and he can twist the situation to his advantage. It's not long, however, before he discovers the demons have their own objective. Someone is after them, and they want to use Nix to lure out whoever that may be. Forced to pretend to be their new mutual plaything, Nix struggles to search for clues about his cousin and maintain personal boundaries between himself and the guys. They might take his body, but he refuses to give them any other part of himself, especially since there's no way of knowing if one of them happens to be the person he's after. Lake is next in line for the throne, and will do anything to stop those secretly trying to prevent him from taking it. He treats Nix like a possession, something he has a right to take, and potentially break. West is an up-and-coming boxer who rules the school with boyish charm and iron fists. He doesn't try to hide who or what he is, not even from Nix, the first of the demons to bend him to his will, laughing all the while. Yajin is considered the flirt of the group, the one who's hooked up with practically everyone on campus. Initially, he's not interested in playing pretend with Nix, but it isn't long before he's changed his tune. It doesn't take long before Nix realizes he's in danger of falling for these monstrous men. He needs a way out, and fast, preferably before any of them realize he's been using them as well. Nix needs to check their names off the list of suspects so he can move on and find his cousin's killer. But what happens when they catch him scheming? Will they help him or destroy him? Okay, that's all from me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye.
All right. What I've been told is that this is a history-making Indie Connection. This is the first time in which 248 episodes there's been 2 authors or 1 author featured twice. But I also think, Courtney, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. Hang on, let me get to good. This thing's okay. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but is this also the first time where you read a description where you cursed?
No, there's been a couple other times.
Okay, okay. Fair enough. I don't know what happened, Deborah, but you just went black. Oh, she just left. Oh,
It's loading or something.
we're just having all kinds of weird stuff happening today. All right, there you go. There's Deborah. All right, well, thank you for that. That was a wonderful indie connection. There's some really good books, everybody. So go check them out. But yeah, first time ever two books by the same author, and Courtney was gushing why. I don't know if you want to gush to the audience why you did.
They were just so well suited to evocation. Like it was just such a good match. I couldn't be like, okay, because it was an accident. I had already picked out all the books, and then I noticed that they were both by the same author, and I was like, I'm just going to let it slide this time because they're just such good matches for this book. So go check it out.
Both of them. Awesome. All right, Sean has a question, and then I also wanted to move a little bit more forward. But Sean has a good question, so I wanted to get it out there. He says, another question. I also do game design BS. Should I keep the writing and game development separate? And what about the work here I do in Go Indie Now? Thought on writers who have their hands in many pies.
I'm going to talk about this from a very personal perspective. One of my former direct clients who still comes to me for some consultations, his name is Glenn Dahlgren. He writes fantasy in YA and adult, and he also does game design and game development. And because his writing is fantasy, it all fits in together very well. So I think what you have to ask yourself, Sean, is does the game development have anything to do with what you're writing? Do the genres mix? Now, if I did some sort of game development, but I'm writing dark romance, that doesn't fit. So I wouldn't be putting that in the same place. Mm-hmm. But as long as your genre fits with the other things that you do, definitely mention it. The stuff with Go Indie Now, absolutely mention it. That shows that you are a member of the indie community. You're not just, here on the fringes, you're involved. So anything that you can do to show yourself as part of this world, as someone, to show your personality, yes. Readers want authors with a personality. They don't just want a face. They don't just want a picture. They want people.
I agree with Lily, and I do a bunch of different stuff. Wear a bunch of different hats, just like Lily does, and all of my stuff is interconnected. There's a link to Fiction Atlas. There's a link to clcanon.net. There's a link to all of the stuff that I do is interconnected some way. You can find a link to everything, but I do agree that it needs to be somewhat related. You don't want to have two really extremes connected, but otherwise, yes. And I also want to shout out to Glenn because he's awesome. I've worked with him too. He's like amazing.
I'm going to jump in here because 17 years ago when I started, the advice was to pick a lane and stay in it. But that didn't work very well for me. It's how I ended up writing for 5 publishers. I'm a Gemini. I had to accept who I am. I share a birthday with Prince, and one day it hit me because I always listen to his music every year on our shared birthday. I thought no one would say to Prince, don't play that instrument, only play this one. Or don't play that music, only play this one. I thought, why the heck am I doing that? Just because someone told me to. It's not who I am. So when I started to own who I am, I became a multi-genre author. And now here's an example. So I was founder of Shimmy Mob Memphis, which raises funds for domestic abuse shelters. I was a former belly dancer. I had retired to promote my books. And I started to do the Shimmy Mob to raise funds for a good cause. It ended up in a book at one point, but I started sharing Shimmy Mob on my social media because I wanted to get the word out. It's an international thing around the world that can help people. And I thought, why would I close that off? No, belly dance doesn't have anything to do with writing until it did, until I wrote a book, until I wrote a book of poems, in which the poem book is here. So in a way, it's me being truer to myself, showing who I truly am instead of that little slice of the pie that they got before that everyone said, this is how you do it. No, this is one way to do it. That doesn't mean you have to do it this way or that way. Figure out who you are and then be you. That's the best branding there is. Then people are getting the real you instead of that little slice of the pie that they think is you.
Is there something to be said for, and here's Anita saying I never separated my different hats. Is there something to be said for being more general, like saying I'm indie, so whatever I do is going to be independent? because that's me. That's my brand. That's what I do. If it's a film, if it's a movie, I mean, if I was to ever release an album, then hell froze over. But something to that effect. But uh, is that an acceptable way to kind of blend everything together? Is kind of create a more generalized profile of yourself, or like Deborah said, just say, this is Joe. This is Joe in a fucking
Yeah.
hat.
When I think of you, I think of all the indie things. I mean, that to me is Joe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to say indie. A lot of people are very proud of saying either indie or hybrid.
Mhm.
And I think that could definitely be part of your brand. But you have to make sure that brand's not going to change.
Mhm.
Because again, you have to change your branding. But
Yeah.
like the only reason that I have the separate pen names is for reader marketability. No one wants to go to one pen name. It's very, especially as mine are so disparate. They're
Yeah.
really across the board. I mean, I have YA fantasy with the Coven series, and then no one wants to go from that to the Family Fur reading all of that.
And
But
you're not
everyone knows
hiding that
me.
fact either, right? So that's the other thing
I
about
did
it.
for a little while, but no, everyone knows it's me. Everyone knows this is me. These are who the people that I write as. These are other facets of me.
Yeah.
And I am personal on those profiles as well. So yes, as long as you have your brand of who you are and you own who you are, like Deborah said, own who you are and what you love and what you enjoy, yes, you will get readers. That is the number one thing once you own it. That's the book that I was just editing, the author's self-help book. That's one of the biggest things. Market and promote yourself the way you are and you are comfortable. And that is the number one thing that's going to get you ahead.
I will say there's a caveat to that, playing devil's advocate on the aspect of being a pen name or a different name. Don't misrepresent yourself as something you're not. We've had authors who have created pen names and kind of misrepresented who they were and kind of got lost in the idea that they were that person and they're not really that person. And they, and it's hurt other people because of that. So just be careful of that aspect. If you're going to own it, but own it as you, don't own it as something different, right? I mean, don't say, don't create a pen name to write POC things when you're not POC, right? Kind of idea.
Right. Don't create a fake bio. Like even authors are completely secret pen names, because I know a few.
Yeah.
They're still themselves in that
Yeah.
bio and everything. Yeah, don't pretend to be something you're not. Like he said, don't pretend to be, BIPOC. Don't pretend to be queer. Don't pretend to be autistic. I've seen that too. Don't do it.
Yeah. That's important. All right, my other thing is, okay, before I get to the real question that I think everybody wants me to ask, but is there other things that we haven't talked about yet today that you want to talk about that are affordable options for authors that you think they should know about? Is there anything you've discovered that, I mean, we should also caveat all of this by saying not everything's going to work for everybody.
Right.
There is a universal language, like websites and newsletters, that are kind of at this point very universal. They should be a part of your branding no matter what you do, no matter how you do it. Even if you do a Substack, that's kind of a pseudo newsletter, or however you want to do it. That's kind of that's a different thing. But is there certain things that you've found successfully that you didn't have to spend a lot of money on to do?
I'll run through a list of things because I know time's limited. So I'm just going to read them off. Okay. Free things you can do. Very important, especially if you're disabled and can't spend money or go places. Okay. So the free events, libraries. Find your library author liaison and ask them, what can you do? Can you have an event? How can you get your books on your shelves? Do they have anything for authors in place? Let them help you. Also, book clubs, multiple readers in one place. You can do virtual events. You can do on the ground events. Contact book clubs that are reading your genre. Bookstores, same thing. All these are free. They don't cost you a dime. Podcast interviews. Those are very popular for a while. They're still good. New York Times bestselling authors will do 20 interviews the first week their book comes out. There's a reason for that. Guest blog posts. Places you can promote your book for free. There's sites out there. Contact book reviewers and bloggers. that's a quick run through.
Those are all really, really viable, good options.
And also, if you're in a small town, it's easier with the libraries too, as opposed to if you're in a city. But the thing that I have seen that it started last year, and so many people, this is gonna sound so horrible. You will see people who are not very hands-on behind their books say these don't work and it was just a waste of my time. No. If you join the Stuff Your Kindle days, there are genre specific ones, and then there's the big one for all subgenres of romance, from YA to dark. That is Zobub, that just ran 2 days ago. I take part in every one of those that I can find. Yes, it does have to discount your books. It works better if you have a series, but if you can handle 1 to 2 days of a free book promo, and then you are getting read through the rest of your series, it is invaluable. I see a jump in sales. I see a jump in page reads. I see a jump in royalties. I see a jump in followers every single time I do one. Some of them are smaller. You're not going to get the same traction. Different genres are going to get a different traction. If you write outside the tropes of that genre, you are going to get a different reaction. If your cover isn't on brand, it's all of those things. But joining those free blasts, those are so invaluable, and I think everyone should at least attempt to try them.
Nice.
I want to mention Story Origin, which I think is always good. BookBub is a free way to have people follow you. That's another free thing that you can do. You just sign up for an account and tell people to follow you. You can join BookBub builders. You can do all kinds of things to get more eyes on your book, kind of like your newsletter. But Story Origin, I think, has a lot of tools for writers, especially people that are starting out. They're always coming up with something new, and I think it's like $10 a month or something like that. It's not very expensive. I think it's really worth it. I think we get a lot of good things out of it, and collaborating with other authors, which we've already talked about, but it doesn't always have to involve money. And like Deborah was saying, go local, find all the local events that you can go to, reach out to people. Reach out to your local writers groups if you have one, and spend some time getting to know your readers and seeing what they like, seeing the things that they expect of you, and try to do what you can to make those connections with them. That's it. I'm rambling now, but basically, just be a good person to your readers. Figure out what they want and try to do as much as you can with them, and to make them comfortable with you and make them want to share your work with others, because word of mouth is always going to be good.
Anita says BookBub is underrated by authors, is a great tool, and Story Origin is invaluable. So, I mean,
I like
there you
to
go.
say something about author mindset. When you do events and you have only one reader show up, and you get into the bad mindset. I've seen and heard this many, many times. The thing is that one reader could be your reader for life and read every single book you ever wrote. That one reader is valuable. We meet readers 1-to-1 each time, whether you do these massive promotions or you're just at an event where only one person shows up. Brick by brick, reader by reader is how you build that career. And that one reader is valuable. So if you can turn your mindset around to view that reader as valuable, you're golden.
Warren Buffett has a great story in his book where he talks about when he was running his first furniture store in Omaha. He ran across the guy that he helped, and he valued customer service above everything else, and the guy didn't really fit what he was trying to do with him. So Warren helped him find a different avenue, not just the same. He wasn't trying to sell his stuff; he was selling this guy on helping him, right? And that guy turned out to be a Rockefeller, and that's how he. You never know who your reader is what I'm saying. That person could win the lottery tomorrow and go, you know what? Because they were so good to me, I'm going to help. I mean, these are pipe dreams. Obviously, this is really craziness, but you never know that. You don't know that. You have to appreciate and be grateful that you have the one reader. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, just think about that. How many people don't have one fan in their life, right? I mean, you have one fan. That's awesome.
And
that one fan could turn into three.
That reader
could have kids, and they could introduce them.
Time, right? That reader spent their valuable time on you and your book.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing right there. Because there's millions of books out there they could have been reading, and they just read yours. I mean, that's like, thank you, right?
Mm-hmm. I will add one thing. Also, outside of the box of local, don't be afraid to go beyond local. Like, one of the things that made me successful early on was that I discovered that Germany loved crime thrillers, and I went and sought out a bunch of German publishers and talked to a bunch of agents out there and things of that nature, and they all helped me get into that marketplace. And I didn't spend a dime doing that. I mean, we were talking about translation at one point, which would have that would have been a really pricey option for me, and I would have had to pay for it, or had to pay back the publisher or whatever the case may be. But we didn't go that route. We decided to just throw it out in English, and it was very successful because I did the research to find that that Germany was a viable resource for me, and so putting it out there. And that, I mean, it didn't work the second time. That's the other thing about this is sometimes it works the first time, but it won't work the second time. But the first time worked, and that was very important. And I think that really gave me the confidence to keep going, because at that point I'd only sold to friends and family, and I went to one book event and sold one book to a waiter who was taking pity on me because I told them the sob story of how I hadn't sold a book all day, at my first event. And so I was, and then I went to my next event and sold out. And so, because you never know that one thing that might just help you go forward. Right. And so don't discount that. Don't look at all your avenues and all your boxes, and think outside the box sometimes too. I think that's important as well. Is there something you don't do that is affordable out there? Is there something that we should stay away from?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's anything anyone should automatically stay away from. I think definitely only staying in your circle is probably not a great thing. Like, don't just sell to friends and family. Don't just be content with, oh, I have these 10 random readers online. That's enough. Don't be content. So maybe just don't limit yourself. Try everything, and then decide for yourself what you like, don't like, what's successful, what you can improve. I don't think there's any wrong avenue to go down unless you're deliberately, marketing in places where people don't like your genre. That's probably the only bad thing you could do.
I think when you are the client, or you are the money maker for the person who's offering a service, when you're going for free and low end, you're not going to see as many scammers because they want the bigger money. This is true of conventions. It's true of anything online that's a promotional thing. If they have a lower priced helping an author rate, they're more than likely not a scammer, not always, but more than likely not to be. But the ones that are scammers they're going to want money. They're going to be pressure. There's nothing you must do to succeed when it comes to spending money. Don't let them talk you into that you must do a thing, because if you can't think about it 48 hours, then you probably should say no. So there's a lot of scammerings out there. That's why I thought I'd better mention that, because there's a lot of new authors that buy into the hype. And we're offering you all kinds of things you can do here that don't cost that big money. So
the $25 I'll get you more Twitter followers thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to touch on. Don't do anything that where people promise to guarantee something that is unguaranteeable. Like, don't pay for followers that are guaranteed. Don't pay for reviews that are guaranteed. And those, I don't know if they're still doing them, but there's some people out there that do those book buying groups where other authors buy your book. Don't do that. Don't participate in things like that, because that pollutes like the audience that you have, that pollutes your algorithm. It's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you.
What do you think about authors exchanging each other's books for review?
I don't. If it's for a back blurb or if it's for an editorial review, I think that's okay. But I don't personally review anyone that has asked me to review. I do still review as an author because I'm a reader and I still read a lot, but I do not actually, if somebody says, here, read this and I'll review your book, I just don't participate in that. I don't think it's ethical.
Yeah, no, I started out as a book blogger. That was how I began in this industry. So I know how arcs and how reviews should work. And as soon as I saw authors trying to do that, I'm like, oh, no.
I don't do swaps. I might read an author's book. I might or might not review it. I never promise to review anything because reviewing is not my skill set. If I like a book, I'm likely to give it some high stars and probably say, hey, I liked this book, but that's about where it's going to end, which is a review. But I don't want to promise something I can't deliver. And what if I don't like the book? I won't do that.
I found it's a double-edged sword too. I'm a terrible reader, so it takes me forever. So people are impatient. But the other thing about it is, I noticed there's a strategy amongst the people who suggest this, and that is they wait for your review to see how glowing you are of their book before they glow on your book. And if you give them a bad review, they're going to kind of color their review toward finding something wrong with your book a little bit. There's an agenda behind people who do that, I think, a little bit more than there isn't. And I'm not saying that they all do it that way, and there's some viable people who just want to get a review, and so they'll ask you for that option, and there's nothing wrong with asking, I guess, but I feel like the ones that have really come at me hard are the ones that I know have an agenda. I've seen it. I've seen them, the way they review things, and I go, if I give this book a 3 stars or 2.5 stars, I'm going to get a 1 or 2 star review back from them, right? Just as spite,
And it's inauthentic. That kind of like my personality type hates inauthenticity, however you say that word, and not being authentic. And I can't get behind it. Reviews are for readers; they're not for us.
Yeah. And I'm glad you found us, Stefan. I'm glad you're here live. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Okay. I've been waiting almost an hour and a half, or hour 20 minutes, hour 15 minutes to ask the question. This is the question that everybody's here for, and it's the question: can you do this without spending a dime? Can you be successful without spending any money?
That depends on your metric of success. What are you looking for? Are you looking for spending money? Are you looking for a little bit of a supplement of a few $100s? Are you looking to make this your career? It all depends on what you want. No, you cannot go up into a high 5-figure, even a mid 5-figure, 6-figure or more without spending some ad money, without paying more professionals or paying for courses to teach yourself and learn how to do things. You do have to spend some money. If you're only here to do it, you just want a little bit extra, absolutely. Especially if you're writing in a hot genre, if you're writing to market, absolutely you can. The only thing you really, and I've said this before, you need to spend money on is editing and cover design. Because yes, people do judge by your cover. Yes, people do find if there are a lot of errors in a book and they're not going to come back. Those are things that you should invest in. You don't have to invest thousands of dollars in them either. Clearly, that's what I tell my clients constantly. But it all depends on your goals. I'm not going to sit here and lie to people and tell them, oh yeah, you can be one of the most successful authors ever and never. No, that's not how this works. But there are ways to do it slowly where you are not spending thousands and thousands of dollars. It just takes, again, a lot more time. So you're going to be paying in time. And, again, it depends on who you are. Are you a working mother who wants to write as well? You're not going to have as much time. So you have to decide what balls you're dropping, what balls you're picking up, and what balls you're going to pay for. It all depends on the individual. But yes, there is a way to spend no to minimal money and still earn ROI. It's almost a zero investment, but you're still going to get a return on it. It depends on you and your goals and your genres.
So for those of us who are forced into a situation where there is this set amount of dollars per month, and that is it, we do not have the choice of paying for ads. We do not have the choice of, because we've got to pay the basics. You need a checking account. You've got a service charge. You've got a website. It may or may not cost something. You've got your newsletter. It may or may not cost something. You need to keep your costs low. So I have a different mindset now because I'm coming from a different place. I must succeed on a low budget because I do not have other options. So I find it very frustrating when I see stuff out there. You've got to do this and you've got to do that. No, really, the only thing, I learned this in the hospital, there are two things in life we do, live or die. Those are the only musts. Everything else is a matter of choice. So don't let someone tell you you have to spend money on X, Y, and Z. You can find a way to do it. You might have to be creative, but you can find a way to do it. You can find a website designer to help you that's a lower cost. You can start off with a free MailerLite, and as it builds, you can see if there's a free entry level to get into these different things. If you're a brand new author and you don't have the money, you've got to work with what you have, right? That's reality. As you sell books, now I'm in the position where for me to do more than what I'm doing right now, I must have royalties coming in because they pay for my next things. So when people say, when's your next book? I sit here and go, well, here's my new one coming out July 4th, which is actually happening soon. So the book following that will depend upon the sales of July 4th book, right? That's how this business works. So sometimes you have to take a step back. If you do, don't give up. I could have given up. My sales flatlined. Seriously, I could have shown you zero money coming in. So I had to start from scratch, and I'm in a rebuilding process. But you can find free and low-cost ways to do things. You can still write the books you love to write, which is mostly why we're doing this. And then, of course, we want to have a career with it, which is two separate things, really. Keep the joy and do the things you can do. Try to focus on what you can do each day. What can I do today to help sell my book or to help get my book done? Because what you focus on you can do gets you to more and more of what you can do.
Nice. Courtney?
I think it really depends on, like Lily said, what you think success is. If it's financial success, if it's, oh, I wrote a book, it's out there, people have read it, and people enjoy it. That's another type of success. But if you're talking about financial success, I don't think that there's an industry out there where you don't have to spend a little bit of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money for everything. But there's basically no product out there where no one spent any money to make it. Unless it's something like somebody's talent, something that they were born with or something that they developed themselves. They still spent time on that. So really nothing is free. So develop skills if you can, if you're able to. Be able to adapt when you can. But there's really I don't think that there's any way to do it without any money at all. And like Lily said, I think the most important things are editing and cover design. Those are the best marketing tools that you have. And there's lots of small ways that we've talked about that you can do things on the cheap, for free or for low cost. Build up. All your success doesn't have to happen in one day, in 1 year, in a certain amount of time. You have time, as long as you're not terminally ill or something. You have time. You have more of your life. Everything doesn't have to happen today. You can take it step by step by step and build it. And don't be discouraged if it takes a while to do that, especially if you're coming from not having a lot of money. Like Deborah, I'm also disabled. I also have a set amount of money you have to be able to make, and you have to be able to rely on that. And I've had to offset that with Fiction Atlas. So I've had to learn a new skill and find new ways to be able to make it. So not all the time do I get to spend on things like my fiction career. So sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and you have to be able to pivot. But eventually, things are going to happen. Don't get too ahead of yourself, and just keep trying until you make it, because you will. If you keep at it, you're going to be able to do it. So don't give up.
Awesome. Well, this conversation was so great. Y'all outlasted the epilogue, so I'm not going to torture you today. We're going to just move forward, and we're going to talk about what's happening at Go Indie Now this week. We've got a really great array of shows. It's a little quieter. Last week was really busy. This week is a little quieter. We're winding down the seasons on things and kind of heading into the summertime. Even with This Week in Indies, we only have 4 or 5 more shows to go before we take a little break in the summertime. So we have going on this week. We have Monday. We have a spotlight on the multiverse, the show I do, where I talk to different creatives who are part of the multiverse convention and give their insight on the creativity. And this week, I have 2 really great guests with me. One of which is part of the Learn Track, and the Learn Track is this unique thing that we're doing at Multiverse that is academia and kind of combining that with fiction and fictional aspects of things, and it's really an interesting track. So it's going to be a really great conversation. That's Kenneth Broom, and then I have Shakir Rashan joining us afterwards. He's a fiction author as well, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. Then we're winding down the First Time for Everything app. This is the penultimate episode. This was actually supposed to be the season finale, but last week we couldn't do the show because of the weather down in Southeast knocked out Juliet, and she couldn't do the show. So this is the penultimate episode with Bria Rose, who also we had to reschedule because of her weather problem. So this is the weather episode, everybody. So this is cool. We got to get these last 2 people in, and then Wednesday we have a working the Indies episode where Brian and I welcome in Mr. John Hartness to talk about. He wanted to bring up a topic on our show about how a certain federation is a lot like a previous federation in wrestling. So we talk a little bit about that, and also we honor somebody that was lost to the indie wrestling community and talk about their contributions and why they were super important, and that being Sabu. So you don't want to miss that episode. It's going to be a really good one, and it was a lot of fun to hang out with Mr. John Hartness for that period of time. So you can see that on Wednesday, and then Saturday, I did a thing where I sat down with these incredible women who have created this incredible machine that they're chugging along to try and get this series out that's called Chasers. It's a 1-camera show that basically follows all these people and their lives, kind of like if Beverly Hills 901 was shot in a hallway. This is kind of what that is. I'm dating myself with that reference, but I sat down with them a few months ago, and you're finally going to get to see that interview and hear about the behind the scenes of that aspect of things as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That is what we have going on this week. And as always, thank you. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Go Indie Now, where we do all these great shows and all these great things and have all these great people joining us. And of course, that will lead us back to next Sunday for another This Week in Indies. And I believe Sean is hosting that show. I don't remember what the show was about. I should have looked that up before I talked. But anyway, that's what's going on here. And please do like, subscribe. I can't emphasize enough how much hitting that thumbs up for us matters. That is the key element that YouTube is pushing right now. So if you hit that thumbs up button for us, more people will see this video, and that is super important for everybody involved. You think about this: if you're an author and you're watching this show, or you're an indie who might be on the show, you'd want somebody to click that button for you when you're on this show so that you get seen. So help the people who are here today get seen as well, and help this conversation get out there, because this was a really great conversation, and I'm very fortunate to have the ladies that I had with me to do this. That being said, let's go around and have everybody tell where they can find you. And Deborah, we'll start with you, please.
Hey, everybody. You can find me at deborahparmley.com, and it's below because sometimes people don't spell my name right. And I have a book coming out July 3rd, which has a combination of suspense and some romance in it. So
I'm not gonna lie. When the first time I met you, I had trouble with the E and the L before.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh gosh, I've been called all sorts of different. I have probably 10 different variations on my name. It gets a little crazy. So yeah, but watch for my book July 4th. It's got a Delta Force vet in it and a woman on the run from the cartel. So
awesome.
It's got some excitement. Yeah.
There we go. Check that out. All right, Courtney.
You can find me at sealcannon.net and fictionatlas.com. I am on most social medias. I am trying to do more on TikTok. I am more present on Threads right now, and I'm still on Facebook. We have updated Fiction Atlas's website to have all of our builders on it. We because of the way that Facebook has kind of been suppressing things in groups, it's been harder to kind of get people to see things. So now you can go to fictionatlas.com/open author builders, and you can find all the author builders that we have open, when they're going to go live, how many spots are left if they're not quite ready to go live. So if you want to check that out, that'd be great. It's a good way, a good cheap way to kind of cross promote, and it's affordable. So there you go.
Awesome. Lily?
Thank you again for having me. Again, I am USA Today bestselling author Lily Lucchesi, and I write as Samantha Calcott and S.L. Sinclair. I am also an editor at Partners in Crime Book Services. You can find me, just go into Google, you'll find my website, you'll find Partners in Crime's website, all of my social media. I'm active on Facebook and Instagram mostly, also Blue Sky, trying to start Threads. And at the end of July, as S.L. Sinclair, I am releasing the first of a new trilogy called The Family Sins, which is the sequel to The Family Firm, following different characters that you met in the previous books. So if you like dark reverse harem romance, definitely be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody go check that out. As well, go check out hang on, let me get the name of it. Rights at Risk anthology that's coming out of Outsider Publishing. Unfortunately, due to just her internet issues, Tiffany couldn't stay with us, but I want to make sure that she gets her due here too. Rights at Risk comes out July 4th. We just, premiered the cover that's back there, and everybody go check that out, outsiderpublishing.com. So definitely go check out what she's doing over there, because it's awesome. She's got all kinds of anthologies you can put in for as well coming up. One of which is a camp anthology where she's taking camp stories. That deadline is July 15th, and you might be joining me in that thing. I'm submitting a story for that, so we'll see if that pans out. But otherwise, thank you all for joining us. It's been a wonderful show, and thank you all to the wonderful commenters and chatters out there. We really appreciate your contribution to our shows all the time, because it's always time to go indie now. Bye, everybody. We'll see you again soon.